Leo souls, hear me out this week. From September 24th to 28th, something powerful is shifting for you. And yes, it begins with 6 numbers. But this isn't about luck. It's about alignment. And if you've landed on this video, chances are you're already feeling it. Let's not dance around it. The universe has been circling you for a while now. Whispering. Nudging. Testing. But this is different. This is a clear signal that your financial trajectory is about to be rewritten. Those 6 numbers we're about to explore, they're more than just digits. They're coordinates. Keys. Triggers. And if you're paying attention, they could change everything. I don't need to convince you with big words or empty promises. You've lived enough to know when something just feels real. And if you're still watching after these few seconds, that tells me something important. Your spirit knows this moment matters. You didn't click this video randomly. You were guided here. Call it divine timing. Call it energetic resonance. Whatever you call it, you're in the right place, at the right time. Here on Eternal Mindfulness, we don't just predict. We help you prepare. Because abundance doesn't come from waiting, it comes from recognizing when the door is opening, and stepping through before it closes. That's what these 6 numbers are. They're not magic spells. They're your map. And they've shown up now because you've done the inner work, whether you realize it or not. You see, Leo, when the sun, your ruling force, prepares to shift from Virgo to Libra during this specific week, the energy becomes a reset. It invites you to level up. To stop playing small. To finally say, yes, I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to receive. And not just a little. A lot. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. The universe doesn't just reward the loudest. It rewards the ones who listen. Who pause long enough to notice the signs. Who dare to trust that timing is never off, it's just waiting for you to believe. So, if there's even a tiny part of you that's been feeling a shift, like something big is about to drop into your life, trust that instinct. Because you're not wrong. The 6 numbers we're about to walk through are encoded with cosmic intention. And no, they're not picked from thin air. Each one is tied to a specific vibration connected to your wealth, your health, and your healing. Before we dive into those numbers, let me take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for your presence here. Thank you for choosing to invest your attention into something deeper. Every comment, every like, every time you subscribe. It strengthens our shared space, and fuels the energy that makes this channel thrive. You make this possible, and you're the reason this message is being delivered now. And Leo, I promise you what's coming next in this video is not ordinary. It's a sequence, a portal, a permission slip from the universe itself. You're going to want to stay with me until the very end, because each number builds on the last, unlocking something new within you. Now let me ask you something. What's been happening in your life lately that made this video show up right now? Take a breath, listen to your gut, and drop it in the comments below. That moment of self-awareness, that declaration might be all the universe needs to send the first wave of your blessing straight to you. Let's begin. September 24th brings with it a kind of quiet electricity, something you can't quite explain, but you feel it in your bones. There's a pulse in the air, a shift in how ideas land in your mind, and how your inner world begins to nudge you toward expressing more of who you really are. It's not coincidence. It's the influence of Mercury forming a harmonious trine with Uranus, a moment that whispers, wake up. Speak up. Create something real. And here's where the number 3 comes in, not as a random digit, but as a powerful energy signature. In numerology, 3 is the number of self-expression, of movement, of creativity flowing through your voice, your hands, your being. It's the number that turns thoughts into form, words into worlds. It shows up when it's time to stop overthinking and start doing. Not perfectly, not with all the answers figured out, but with courage and color. What makes this moment so special is that you don't need to figure out your next move. You just need to let it out. Maybe it's that idea you've been sitting on for weeks. That story you've been wanting to share. That vision board you keep meaning to update. Number 3 doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for honesty. For action. For play. It says, take the spark. Build the fire. Financially, this can be a turning point, but only if you're willing to meet your potential halfway. So many of us carry powerful creative ideas inside of us, but we've been conditioned to believe they don't matter unless they're perfect, profitable, or impressive. But what if the thing that changes your life is the one you almost didn't create? The video you almost didn't record. The sketch you almost didn't post. The project you almost didn't pitch. When Mercury and Uranus align, the universe favors those who act on instinct, those who let the first draft be the doorway, not the finish line. And I know, getting started can feel vulnerable. Especially when your inner critic has been louder than your intuition lately. But even that tension holds wisdom. Because feeling afraid to express yourself often means your expression holds power. That's the kind of inner resistance that shows up right before breakthrough. And that's why the energy of number 3 is so healing. It doesn't just push you to create, it invites you to clear what's been blocking you from doing so. This is the perfect time to do a creative detox. Not just of your digital life, but of your mental space. Put down the scrolling. Light a candle. Grab a pen and write down what you've been avoiding, fears, judgments, old stories, and burn them. Literally or metaphorically. Let them go like dead leaves in autumn. And in that space, plant something bold. You might be surprised what starts to bloom. Spiritually, this isn't just about productivity, it's about freedom. When we create, we reconnect with something deeply sacred in ourselves, the part that knows we were made for more than just surviving. That part that dares to play with life, instead of just managing it. That part that remembers that wealth isn't just money, it's momentum. Joy. Color. Movement. And that's exactly what the number 3 activates. So if you're reading this and nodding along, don't just feel inspired. Take one small creative action today. Draw something. Film a reel. Write a pitch. Try a recipe. Start small. But start. And to anchor that energy even more, place the number 3 where you can see it. Line your mirror, your phone lock screen, your journal cover. Let it remind you, you are the artist of your reality. And the masterpiece begins with your willingness to begin. Now tell me what's one thing you'll create today, even if it's imperfect. Drop it in the comments. Your commitment might just inspire someone else to start too. There's something quiet but powerful about the number 14. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. But if you sit with it for just a moment, you begin to feel what it really brings into your life, the energy of balance and freedom, woven together like threads in a strong but gentle net. And this week, as the moon moves through Sagittarius, that energy rises to the surface, inviting you to let go of what's too heavy and make room for a lighter, freer version of yourself to emerge. In numerology, 14 is often linked with lessons in independence, but not the type that isolates you. This is the kind of freedom that grows from within when you realize you're not stuck. That you're not too late. That you can move forward, even if the path looks unfamiliar. The 1 in this number represents leadership, decision, self-drive. The 4 is structure, patience, the quiet architecture of stability. And together, they say, yes, take the leap but build your wings as you go. This is the moment to think about what parts of your life have started to feel a little too tight. Where have you been staying in a role, a routine, a relationship, or even a mental loop that no longer allows you to breathe fully? The energy of 14 nudges you to loosen the grip. To move. To take a walk, not just physically, but energetically, away from what's been pressing in on your nervous system. It's about understanding that freedom isn't always in the big, dramatic changes. Sometimes, it's as subtle as choosing to think a different thought. Or saying no to one more commitment that doesn't feel like love. When we talk about abundance and creating a life aligned with who we truly are, we often skip over the space between "I'm stuck" and "I'm free." That space is exactly where 14 lives. It's not about sudden miracles. It's about daily decisions. Choosing to believe that even the smallest step toward balance is a sacred one. That you don't need to fix everything, you just need to make enough space for a new possibility to land. Financially, this energy is asking you to look at where you can create more autonomy. Is there a skill you've been ignoring? A hobby that could become something more? A part of your work that you could reclaim or restructure? This is the kind of week where passive income streams, flexible schedules, or part-time side ideas can quietly begin to grow roots, not by force, but by awareness. It's about building freedom over time, not waiting for it to be handed to you all at once. From a wellness perspective, this is also a call to move your body. Stagnation often starts in the mind but settles in the joints, the breath, the spine. Shake it loose. Dance, stretch, walk barefoot. Get in touch with the physical world again. Let your body remember what flow feels like. When the inner world is in motion, the outer world starts to shift in ways you can't always predict. So ask yourself, what does freedom feel like to you right now? Not the idea of it, but the lived version. What would it look like to honor both your need for structure and your desire for space? That's where the 14 shines. Quietly, confidently, guiding you back to yourself, not with pressure, but with invitation. And maybe that's the gentlest revolution of all. Some days arrive not with noise, but with a quiet invitation to heal. September 26th carries that kind of energy. It doesn't ask you to push harder or to fix everything at once. Instead, it gently asks, are you ready to come back to yourself? As Venus forms a supportive trine with Saturn, it's like the universe is offering a sturdy hand on your shoulder, grounding you, steadying you, and encouraging you to finally rebuild where life may have felt broken or stalled. If you've been feeling disconnected from your finances, from your sense of worth, or even from your own resilience, this is a moment to begin again, slowly, intentionally, but powerfully. The number 26 reflects this invitation beautifully. In numerology, it breaks down to 8, a number of mastery, material abundance, and karmic cycles. But don't rush to that end just yet. Notice how 26 holds the energy of both 2 and 6. The 2 is soft, it's about relationship, sensitivity, reflection. The 6 is nurturing, it's about responsibility, service, and making peace with the parts of ourselves that have felt like too much or not enough. When you put them together, you don't just get power, you get power with compassion. That's what makes 26 special. It doesn't push you to dominate, it guides you to integrate. There's something sacred about this number when it shows up during a Venus-Saturn trine. Venus governs value, money, love, pleasure, and self-worth. Saturn represents structure, time, and karmic lessons. When these two planets work together, they offer us a rare chance to heal patterns that may have kept abundance just out of reach. This isn't a day to manifest wildly. It's a day to look at what's been blocking the flow, the beliefs, habits, or emotional residue you've been quietly carrying that told you, "I'm not ready," or "I don't deserve more." Financially, this could show up as a return. A repayment you didn't expect. A project finally moving. Or simply a moment where you feel your energy shift from survival mode into something sturdier. That's the real wealth, when your nervous system starts to believe again. And yes, that kind of healing often begins with forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for what you didn't know. For what you didn't do sooner. For how hard it's been. And in doing so, you create space for something more stable to be built in its place. This is also a powerful time for detoxing, not just physically, though your body may be asking for that too. Drinking warm lemon water, simplifying your meals, cutting back on what's inflaming your system. But deeper than that, it's a detox of guilt, of shame, of pressure. Sound therapy can help. 396 Hz, in particular, is known to release deep-rooted fear and guilt. Let it play in the background as you journal. Or try this, write a letter to your past self. Not one of blame, but of gratitude. Thank them for surviving. For trying. For getting you here, even if the road wasn't perfect. Place the number 26 somewhere intentional, written on your water bottle, a sticky note on your desk, or tucked into your wallet. Let it remind you that healing isn't a delay, it's the first step to true abundance. You are not behind. You are exactly where you're meant to begin again. And you don't have to force this part. You just have to say yes. Some opportunities don't knock, they arrive like a quiet whisper wrapped inside an unexpected message, a sudden invitation, or even just a moment of clarity that says, "Now is the time." That's the energy of September 27th, when the moon forms a trine with Pluto and the number 30 steps forward like a key in your palm. There's a sense of quiet but powerful momentum building, and it doesn't ask you to chess, it asks you to be ready. Because the truth is, doors don't open just for those who are desperate. They open for those who are available. Present. Grounded in their worth, even if things don't feel perfect yet. In numerology, 30 is a fascinating number. It's the child of 3, the number of creativity, voice, and expression, and the mystery of 0, which holds the energy of infinite possibility. 0 doesn't represent nothing. It represents everything before form. It's the blank canvas. The silence before the song. And when it pairs with the expressive, intuitive, and forward-moving nature of the 3, what you get is a portal, something that can't be explained fully until you've walked through it. Financially, this number shows up when a shift is on the horizon, especially in how you earn or how you value what you offer. Maybe you've been stuck in a loop of wondering when things will change. Maybe you've been doing the work but not seeing the return. The energy around this date is a reminder that what transforms your life doesn't always show up in a flash of lightning. Sometimes it comes in a short email, a text, a moment when someone mentions your name in a room you didn't know you were being discussed in. It comes in seemingly ordinary ways, but the impact, massive. So this is the moment to keep your energy clear and open, not anxious. Pay attention to how you're managing your time and where your attention flows. When the moon speaks to Pluto, there's a chance to transform something deeply ingrained, perhaps a fear of visibility, of being seen, or of finally claiming your next level. Let this be the day you start answering yes to the opportunities you say you want, even if they arrive wrapped in discomfort. Physically, tension might show up in your neck, shoulders, or joints, those places where we carry the weight of our resistance. Movement will help. Breath will help. And so will the softness of intention. Try setting a daily reminder for 3 p.m., and when it rings, pause. Place your hand on your chest. Say it with conviction, I open myself to unexpected financial opportunity. It doesn't have to feel perfect. It just has to feel real. This little ritual isn't about superstition, it's about alignment. About teaching your body and mind to recognize the moment when something new begins to arrive. Colors like pearl and soft silver can help during this time, not because they're magical, but because they hold reflective energy. They remind you that your environment mirrors your state. When you dress in these shades or surround yourself with them, you invite clarity and protection into your field. You create space for opportunity to reflect back toward you what you've been cultivating inside. This is what the number 30 is about. Quiet power. Subtle readiness. The password to a hidden vault of possibility that only responds when you believe enough to listen. Stay open. Stay soft. You don't need to force what's already finding its way to you. Sometimes, the most powerful turning points in our lives don't come with a grand announcement, they arrive as a quiet, internal shift that says, I'm ready now. That's the kind of energy the number 41 brings, especially under the influence of the moon in harmonious trine with Jupiter. There's this sense of grounded expansion in the air, not the chaotic kind that sweeps you off your feet, but the kind that reminds you who you've quietly been becoming all along. If you've been waiting for a moment of recognition, of validation, of being seen for the value you carry, this might be it. In numerology, 4 is the foundation, the structure, the builder. It represents the part of you that knows how to stay, to commit, to do the deep work. The 1 is the initiator, the leader, the one who speaks up when no one else does. Together, they create a kind of quiet authority, a number that doesn't just talk about leadership but lives it. And when these energies combine on a day when Jupiter, the planet of blessings and truth, is amplified by the moon's emotional wisdom, you get a wave of potential that's equal parts empowering and humbling. This is a time when you might be invited to step up, to manage, to guide, to teach, or even to handle resources that feel bigger than what you've been trusted with before. It can feel thrilling and terrifying at the same time. But the energy of 41 says, this isn't a mistake. You've earned your place. This isn't about ego, it's about alignment. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to own it. And as with all leadership, it starts with how you lead yourself. That's where your health comes into play. The heart, both literal and symbolic, is asking for attention. Deep breaths, intentional rest, movement that flows rather than strains. Listening to music tuned to 528 Hz can be especially healing now. Not just because of what it does to your body, but because it reminds you that rhythm and harmony begin from within. Try this small practice. Write the number 41 on your mirror. And every morning, look yourself in the eyes and say, I lead my life with strength and purpose. Say it even if your voice shakes. Say it until it feels like truth. Because you're not waiting for the crown Anna you've already been wearing it. There's a moment, sometimes, when everything just clicks, not because the world suddenly makes perfect sense, but because you do. That's the energy number 50 brings as it arrives, not with fanfare, but with quiet certainty. After all the shifts, lessons, and inner breakthroughs leading up to this point, you begin to sense that something is finally sealing itself into place. The number 5 represents motion, change, and expansion. The 0 brings timelessness, divine completion, and the echo of something bigger than logic. Together, 50 is not just about wealth, it's about the kind of abundance that lasts, because it is rooted in something real. Something you've chosen. What makes 50 so special is its invitation to claim without force. You're not manifesting from scarcity or desperation anymore. You're receiving because you remembered who you are. And when that happens, money comes differently. It doesn't need to be earned through exhaustion or struggle. It begins to flow through trust, alignment, and your willingness to stop doubting your worth. This is the moment many people miss, when the blessing isn't loud, but it's true. When the miracle isn't dramatic, but it's yours. This number carries the frequency of a vow made to yourself. A silent promise that you will no longer postpone joy, delay healing, or play small to make others comfortable. And because that inner vow has been made, life responds. You might receive an unexpected payment, a gift, a financial door swinging open without the usual effort. But it's not random. It's the reflection of how far you've come, of the seeds you planted when no one else was watching. Your health during this time also asks for a deeper kind of attention. Not to the surface, but to the soul. Try writing a letter to your future self, not from lack, but from love. What do you want to tell the version of you who's already living in ease and clarity? What would they say to you now? These practices aren't fluff. They're energetic anchors. They keep your vision steady when the world gets noisy. Place the number 50 at the center of your vision board. Surround it with the life that feels like home to your soul, a safe place to rest, relationships that nourish you, the resources that let you breathe easier. This is the closing of a cycle. Not the end, but the beginning of stability that isn't afraid of growth. And if it feels quiet right now, that's okay. Quiet is how the deepest things often arrive. You're not chasing magic anymore. You're living it. Leo, if you've made it this far, I want you to know something very few people ever get told. You didn't arrive at this video by accident. You didn't stumble across these messages because of an algorithm. You're here because something in your soul has been whispering, maybe even screaming, for alignment. For freedom. For abundance that doesn't just survive the chaos of life, but rises from it like light from the fire. You are not someone waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. And the 6 numbers we've explored 3, 14, 26, 30, 41, and 50 are not just lucky digits. They're symbols, anchors, keys. Each one mirrors a part of you that's been preparing quietly in the background: your creativity, your desire for freedom, your capacity to heal, your readiness for opportunity, your leadership, and your right to lasting abundance. You didn't need permission to begin stepping into your power, but you now have confirmation. So let me ask you, what would shift in your life if you decided, today, to no longer postpone your joy? What if the next time fear whispered, "Wait," you chose to say, "I'm ready," instead? What becomes possible when you believe, fully and without apology, that you were made to receive? You see, real change doesn't happen just because we listen. It happens when we act on what we now know. This video has given you more than insight, it's offered a spiritual blueprint. But no one can walk it for you. The numbers mean nothing unless you choose to align your habits, your thoughts, and your energy with their meaning. So I invite you to choose just one small step today. Write that affirmation on your mirror. Set the reminder on your phone. Begin the vision board. Light the candle. Say the words out loud, even if your voice shakes. And say them again tomorrow. And when you do, comment below. Share what number resonated most with you. Was it the creative spark of 3? The bold confidence of 41? Or maybe the divine finality of 50? Your words may just help someone else recognize themselves too. Try one of these declarations to anchor your intention. I align with the frequency of 3, 14, 26, 30, 41, 50. I declare that wealth is not a dream. It's my destiny. Leo is ready to rise. Your voice matters here. Eternal mindfulness is more than a channel. It's a community of seekers, dreamers, and builders, people like you who are brave enough to believe that life can be more. So thank you, from my whole heart, for sharing your time, your energy, and your presence with me today. Every like, every comment, every subscription keeps this space alive and growing and allows these life-shifting messages to find the people who need them most. So if this message touched something in you, don't keep it quiet. Like this video, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and share it with someone who's ready to remember their power too. And above all, stay with me until the end of your transformation. Because Leo, your story is just beginning and the universe is already listening. Are you?